And we are live.
Yes, we are.
Okay, we are live. Let me just put my calendar back up. My schedule. Okay, good morning. It is 7 a.m. and we're going to get started with connecting with our guides. This is day one. It's a 7-day course. Each day we will be covering a certain topic and we will have a different guest speaker each day. My name is Rebecca and my lovely husband, JB, and together we form Dual Dragons.
Yes,
We,
hello.
yes, we are holistic wellness consultants. We're also known as the Muscle Whispers. We do a lot of healing, facilitate healing to a lot of people dealing with chronic pain, whether it being physical, emotional, energetic. We deal with everything. And so lately, there's been a great need growing. We had done our 7-day chakra cleanse in October, and from that time on to now, we have been also, a lot of people have been connecting with us for our services because there's a lot of feeling of disconnection, feelings of, just almost like hopelessness, like what's, with the situation that's going on right now with the coronavirus. A lot of people are starting to really feel it. And it's very understandable, but we also need to understand that no matter what, even though we're not connected physically at the moment as much, we are still very much connected. We are very much connected not only to each other, but to our guides and to a whole system that most of us are not aware of. And so that's what this course is about, making you aware that we're not alone and there are ways to still connect even with your guides and your loved ones to have that sense of community, because we all need that community. And so
Definitely one of the reasons why we developed the Healers Roundtable is for you as healers or for those seeking knowledge to tap into that aspect of yourself. We want to share a platform where other healers can show this is what I'm specialized in and this is what I know, and that can help you so we can help each other. As Rebecca says it best, it's based off similar to the Knights of the Round Table, but we are healers and we're here to support each other and really provide an opportunity to, whether you be a mentor or an apprentice learning something or developing your own gifts. Last month was about the chakras, so if you'd like to go back to our Facebook group and go through the recordings in unit 1, and of course this month we'll be focusing on the guides and providing you from different perspective a healthy way to connect or protect yourself so that you may get a clear message and trust yourself that you got the message properly so that you can apply it to your life.
so the topic for today is how to set the mood and craft a clear intention. Now, on this one, a lot of us prepare the way we prepare. For example, I was just sharing with my friend Sterling that today is the Day of the Dead in our Mexican culture. And so from the 30th of October, we start building an altar and we put our pictures up, we put a little salt barrier, to protect us from that energy. And as I was talking about how we set that altar up, I was being bombarded all of a sudden from my, guides or any spirits trying to give me a message because my ears started popping like crazy. And I had to reground myself. I had to like put that barrier, like, okay, guys, I'm presenting right now at the moment. I don't need this distraction. I will tend to you as soon as I can. And then my ears started calming down. So it's being able to set that mood and craft that clear intention, because I've come across other healers or um, other people learning about their gifts, and they're like, I feel overwhelmed. I'm getting overwhelmed. Like, what do I do? And I go, you need to ground and you need to set a clear intention like, hey, this is my boundary At this moment, I need you guys to back off a minute. I will get to you as soon as I can. And just simply like that, it's that simple, just setting your ground. And so, how do you prepare yourself? What do you do to remove distractions? Because it's very easily to get distracted. It's very easily to jump into that rabbit hole and go deep into it and get lost. You know, what is your sacred space? I recommend to everyone to set a sacred space for those times that you do get overwhelmed. For me, is when I lay down in meditation. You could see in the picture here, this is my sacred space right here on the cliff, overlooking the ocean. And all I see is this beautiful sun rays, but it's not really the sun, it's my light. And I let that light shine on me. And I'm always dressed in white. I always have a beautiful breeze just, just over me. And I could just go to that place when, even right now, I'm at that place. I don't need to really like meditate or close my eyes. Just the minute I talk about it or I think about it when I'm overwhelmed and I think of this place, I'm there already. This is my sacred space. This is where I feel protected. This is where I get whatever energy light I need for the moment to be able to do what I need to do. And then whom do you wish to connect? Do you wish to, connect with we all have three main guides. We have one main guide and we have our feminine guide, which is on our left, and our masculine guide on our right. And then from there on, you have more guides that have certain specialties that are for you. So a lot of people have said to me whenever they work with me, other healers, they're always surprised to see how many I have. Like I have a whole community behind me, and sometimes it overwhelms them. And then what do you do what do you want to address? What do you want to heal? As healers, you got to remind yourself, we sometimes get caught up wanting to heal or facilitate healing for others, and we forget about ourselves. So always remember you come first. Just like in the airplane, put your mask on first. Whenever you're about to do facilitating healing, you need to heal yourself first before you go on healing any other person. And that is very important reminder for everyone. And what teaching do you want to receive is the next one. It's like, what do I want to receive today? And for us, whenever we go into any facilitated healing session with any client, I always go with this mindset of, I'm going to learn something valuable from the session today. It's not me getting on this, I'm the healer and that's all I do. No, I really set the attention of, guides, teach me what I'm supposed to receive today from the session. And every time after each session, I go home with a very valuable teaching, and every time. And it's the most beautiful thing to be able to come home with, just to be able to, your mind expands each time in each session and each moment more and more of the possibilities. There's no limit in our teachings and our learnings, and that's what makes it beautiful.
Yes, what makes it really beautiful, like a few lessons I've learned from previous recent healings was I'm able to channel. For a while, I thought it was just specific people or spirits, healers had this gift. But one of our sessions, as we were working on a client, I started channeling the guide of the person we're working on. I was like, why am I talking? I'm not supposed to be talking, but I just let the words flow. And the person was able to receive the message they needed and allow their body to process some of it. And some of it they weren't ready for, and without pushing it or forcing it, I said, just sit on this as like a seed, water it, plant it, and when you're ready to let it blossom, to address it, is your time. And it's not just for us, but we also pass on the same intention to our clients. And of course, most of us probably have that hesitation or doubt where we need that validation. We need to hear, whether it's from our clients or working with a team of other healers to confirm the message we received was purely from our higher self or the guides facilitating this healing session in front of you, or our ego trying to interject their opinion versus some of the past fears, emotions, or programming that we yet to address, and it's still running in the background.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, JB and I have been working together for 2 years now.
2 years.
2 years. We've been working together, and the way we started was for my sister. A little over 2 years ago, my sister was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And before then, I would only work by myself. I was very protective. I was very like, I didn't let anybody in my space because I would always feel like I would be bombarded if I got too much of their energy within my space. So at that time, I had been working on my own. I was working on my sister, and I knew something was wrong since 3 years ago. She lives with me. So I usually work on her whenever she's dealing with any issues. And I just felt it. I knew something was really wrong, because I would literally just touch her like this, and she would scream in pain. And I was just like, something's wrong. I need you to see the doctor now. And unfortunately, she didn't have a appointment soon enough. And when she finally went, and she made it sound like, oh, it's just a mass in my fallopian tube and they're going to remove it and it's going to be easy. And she went in for that procedure 2 years ago in June. And to our surprise, they had to pull out right away because they saw something else. And then that's when they said, we think it's cancer. So that was really hard. It was a really hard time for me because I knew I had to do something, but I knew I couldn't do it alone. That was the first time I got the message, like, you can't do this alone. You need to do this with someone, because you're going to get too emotionally involved, just like a doctor, when doctors cannot operate on their loved ones. And so I knew I needed someone else. And at that time, I had just met JB. He was, someone new, a friend. And for some reason, just something told me he's the one. And so I went with that message. And so together, my sister had a full hysterectomy 2 years ago in July. She had a heal in August. And in September, she started aggressive chemo. And when that started, we started working together. And before that, we had done some practices with other people just to kind of get an idea of what they felt, what they experienced. And everyone just kept telling us, like, wow, whatever you guys are doing is just, it's different. It feels great. You guys really need to do this. You guys need to build on this. But at that time, I was just focused on my sister. And so from my sister, we practiced pretty much from September, and in December, when they had told her she was going to get many months of chemo because she was stage 3. December, we got the good news that she was practically cancer-free. She was not showing numbers. She was not showing cancer numbers. She did it in 4 months. And she knows that was, she says, I know you guys helped. Everything helped, but I know you guys had a big part. She goes, and the way I knew is because every week I was ready to quit. Every week, she goes, I was ready to say, you know what? I'm done. Just let me die. She goes, but you guys would come every week, lay your hands on me. And then she would say, I could do one more week. I feel so much better. I could do one more week. One more week.
From my perspective, about the time, I was also dealing with, all right, I'm just going to be here, finish up school, and I was going to move on with my life.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you may relate to this, that you hear that voice, stay, or to make the choice to go, and some say you got to stay. At first, it's like, who is this? Is this really my ego saying I have to stay this place and feel comfortable, or is it really was it my guide, was my higher self saying this is where I'm meant to be? And something struck a chord in my heart, and it was the weirdest sensation that I ever recognized. The only closest thing I could say was, for me, was like skydiving. Some people might be scared, but for me, when I went skydiving some years ago, it was the moment where none of my thoughts, none of my programs, none of the aches and pain in my body, it all just disappeared. And I had that moment of clarity as I'm flying for those 30 seconds to a minute, free falling. If I go, I go. If I'm not, I'm just gonna enjoy the view as I just take deep breaths, enjoying the view as it's coming closer to Earth, and to hear that clear voice. That's the closest thing I had to experience this. You're meant to be here. And against all this noise in my head, my ego, my programming, just get out of here, it's a trap. There's so many different things. And it's like, no, the choice to trust myself, to trust that was my guides, my higher self, to make the next step, this is what I was meant to be. Because I didn't know that we were going to come to where we are now, married, to develop this wonderful business as Dual Dragons. I thought, if anything, it would just be a business partner that I work with on a healing level. It evolved beyond my expectation, beyond that. And I'm glad we're here today to share our stories and our wisdom so that you may have more trusting in that whisper and understand to tell the difference between the whisper of your guides or spirits trying to guide you to healing, and that of ego, of something that you may need to address. And of course, put that barrier right now, put aside, let me focus here, and then go back to when you have a moment to address that program, that ego, the pain, the discomfort.
Mm-hmm. And the great news is that my sister has been cancer-free since then, and she could be dealing with a lot more, but she's not. We still continue treating her, making sure that everything stays grounded and calm, because it was not genetic. It was actually a lot of emotional, energetic blockages that she had throughout her body. And we still are, peeling a few layers of that away little by little. My sister was very, she believed in the spiritual path because she saw me as a child, because I would always be bombarded by spirits as a child. And she would be the only one that could hear me sometimes struggling when I would get, the paralyzed, and I would be awake, paralyzed, being bombarded by their energy. And she would run down to my bed and, try to shake me or do whatever it was to kind of pull me out of that. And she saw firsthand, the things I went through. So she knew that there was something bigger out there, but she never experienced that. So she's not very spiritual, but she's aware of it. So it's been interesting to see her evolve from her cancer experience, where now she's becoming a little more open, a little more spiritual, open to kind of receive messages, when before, if I would tell her a message, she would be like, okay, whatever. Yeah, I got it. And she would just brush it off. But now she's like, okay, what are the spirits telling you? And she's very attentive now. And so it was a lesson. It was a teaching lesson for her to ground herself some more, so it's been a journey for her, a journey for ourselves, for my husband and I, evolving, a journey for me. And I know for JV, it's been his own journey too at the same time. And that's the beautiful thing of this work, the journeys you embark and where it leads you to. And with that, I want to lead in to our guest speaker. We had the privilege of meeting him in our last course, the 7-day chakra cleanse. And he was present every day. And I noticed that. And on our last day of day 7, I decided to add a day 8 to do a healing session with all the bowls, and he was present. And I said, you know, I've seen you here every day and we don't know your story. So we started finally talking that last day, and we got to meet Sterling. And I said, you know, my guides are telling me we need to work together. I'm going to give you a free session because you've been here every day. And my guides are telling me that. And so we set it up and we had this wonderful healing session. I'll let Sterling, you know, share a little bit about it. But he's our next guest speaker. Here's his information. And until that day, I found out he was a mystic healer. It was a wonderful surprise. So like I said, I'll let him speak, but it was a wonderful day. And we all walked away from that day with a wonderful message, feeling very energized. And it was beautiful. So now I'm gonna stop sharing screen. Let me just, I got my Day of the Dead bread. Let me move it out of the way. And let me stop share. There we go. Okay, take it away, Sterling.
Good morning. Okay, am I appearing okay? Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. Anyway, yeah, thank you for inviting me to talk to everybody. I guess I should look at the time. How much time? About 20 minutes. Okay. Yeah, I had a really nice session with you guys. I appreciate that. I learned a lot also, and I'll probably refer back to that. I wanted to talk today about guides and using guides in your healing practice. And that's kind of a big subject because I was, trying to think about what to say in 20 minutes about guides. And I mean, just what we think they are it could take easily 20 minutes, just the very first subject, not even get into using them in any way. So anyway, I'm going to just narrow my talk basically to guides that are used for healing purposes, and I will keep it to my own personal experience. I just really won't share anything like from a book or theories, or I'm just gonna, this is what happens to me, just sort of a personal story. But my personal story, I'm going to have to share with you some in order to contextualize where I'm coming from, because we all are in different paths. Some of us, like Rebecca, she was awakening to her energy, spirituality at a very early age. She was having, like she explained earlier, whereas I had more of a spontaneous awakening to such things later in life, and when I was a mature, grown person, and it was transformative. So that led to healing, an actual life's purpose of healing. So, and I recognize that. So I'd like to talk about that a little bit. But anyway, so I guess I'll qualify a little bit and talk about my background, just so you'll, just to put some shape to this. But I'm a native Californian. I was born here on Route 66, and born and raised here. And my healthcare career, my regular career, started in the military. I went into the Navy, became a hospital corpsman, and by the time I went through training, by the time I was 18 years old, I was in an intensive care unit, sort of as an orderly type of, I was sort of an LVN sort of role in the military. And then I got transferred to the Marine Corps, and I became a combat medic. I went through that training, and then I went overseas with the Marines. And then when I got out with that training, I was able to get a RN license. And so I was a practicing RN for about 15 years. doing a number of things. Like I worked ER for 5 years, and I worked air rescue on a helicopter for a few years, and I worked in intensive care, and I went into home health and infusion. And then I wound up getting into more of the way the businesses were run, and I got recruited to a drug company, Watson Labs, and I became a. Went through school, became a pharmaceutical engineer, and worked my way up in the corporate in pharmaceutical industry. Got heavily involved with clinical trials and that sort of thing, and and then I consulted for the last few years. So that was my professional career. It was very structured, very scientific, very data driven, very just the facts, Jack, and I dealt with the FDA. I mean, that was what I did in my life. Now, there was also a spiritual side that was going on at the same time, which was probably I was about 28 or 29, and I'm working in the emergency room, and I'm just full blown guy working in an ER, going to college and stuff, and doing what I'm doing, just studying constantly. And I got attracted to a psychic. I went to visit a psychic because I was compelled to. I had this inner need. You'll understand that. Put me here if you didn't understand that drive. And so I met her, Reverend Ruth, and she started teaching me about, chakras and colors and energy, past lives. And, she told me I was this healer and stuff. And I didn't know how to process it. I ran into very, cognitive dissonance. I just couldn't process a lot of this, but I felt just like I needed to keep pursuing. And I started going to healers and things, and going to little, classes, and doing stuff to just try and understand it more and more. And I was married to a nurse, and she started studying. This was about 2008. She started studying Ayurveda, which is a holistic health program, or it's a way of life, a science of health. And she started studying that, and through osmosis, it started affecting my life. We started eating differently. She went to a college, like an actual college, studying this full force. And we started eating differently, and we started eating better, and we started taking like herbs to cleanse your liver and cleanse your blood, and we started doing things like this, and which I never did before. I never, in my whole allopathic career as a healthcare worker, seeing thousands of patients I've never cleansed anybody's blood, or anything like that. It was always prescription medicines. It's always what we always gave, what we always did. So this was a real shift. It was a real change for me. But I was fascinated with it. We started doing yoga and pranayama, breathing exercises and things like that. We started chanting, or mantras, we called them mantras, and started learning about the subtle body and things like that, which was all just a bit overwhelming, but and I was fascinated because it all made sense to me, yet it was all new. But one day something happened to me. It actually was a phenomena. It was an effect that happened that I've been studying for the rest of my life since then. But what happened was one day I was doing yoga, and always started meditating, that kind of thing, pretty regular. started doing yoga. And one day I was on the mat and I was on my back and I was in bridge pose. And I just felt my spine become alive in a way, in a very a serpentine way. It just kind of went, it just sort of had a mind of its own, and it like it wanted to fix itself or something. And I just, all I had to do was let go, and it felt very blissful. And it made me sit up, and I felt like I was going to regurgitate or something, but just something was coming up, but I couldn't tell what it was. It was a sort of a little crisis that was happening. And I'm on the mat and I'm by myself and I'm just this, then I felt this release, a tremendous release. And I didn't know what it was at the time, but I do now, but, or at least I think I do. But, and I felt this tremendous release. And then I felt this sort of an energy go up my back and, you know, just start moving. It felt like, I don't know, like it felt beautiful. It felt like a tadpole swimming in a pool, or it felt like a sperm cell swimming. You know, it just was a very primitive feeling, but it was delightful and blissful. And it was a true phenomenon. It was an event that happened. And I couldn't explain it in all of my training and career and seeing all kinds of people and diagnoses, and I've never heard of anything like that. And it just was profound, and I just needed to know more about it. Unfortunately, there was, after that point, I became cognizant, aware of it. And I guess all of us reach a point as healers. There's a point when you become consciously cognizant and aware. You're not guessing anymore. You can actually feel it. And but it's very difficult to explain, or, you know, to folks. Okay, so where's the healing come in? With this practice, Ayurveda, and all, we had a circle of friends that were very open-minded and very into energy, and I felt the need to touch folks and put my hands on them. And when I did, I found that I could just sort of surrender to something that was that just seemed to know what to do. And that was my first relationship or contact with something that seemed to know how to move my hands and know how to work this person. And it seemed to, and people were fascinated because I'd go up to them and I'd lay them on a table and I would just start working on them and I'd let it go. And we were with people we could trust and, you know, friends and open-minded friends and stuff like that. I would have never done anything like that to a strange person or whatever, but we were all experimenting with it, and it just sort of grew. And I wound up practicing, and I actually didn't know what I was doing. I felt sensations. I knew I was affecting people. People would claim that I helped them, and they'd come back. And I started working at the Healing Shop in Upland. I don't know if you might be familiar with it, but I worked there for several months. Then I moved up north for a career change, or for a job change, and started practicing up there with my wife at the time in Ayurvedic. We started building a clinic of holistic practice. It was more massage and energy based practice called Panchakarma, which is a structured form of massage that they teach in Ayurveda. So anyway, so guides. Here we are. I'm basically using a guide. And in all of that, I practiced on several sessions with many people, and all that time with energetic healing. and I discovered a few things. But with guides, what are they? Well, as a scientist, I have to say, I don't know. But as a mystic, I have to say, I don't know. But I know of behavior, and I know what they do, and I know of them. As a scientist, I subscribe to that. I don't think we can know. I don't think we're capable of knowing. It's just something that's beyond, and we build models so that we can get our head around it. Okay. So guides, what are they? Well, when it comes to healing, there's a couple of things that happen. You can invoke this intelligence, or you can call it evoke it. Okay, so invoking means you call upon it. We want you to be with us. Okay, and the intelligence will come. Now, evoking means bringing them forth, coming out and doing something for me. Okay, and that's what happens is just by definition, I believe that I evoke an intelligence that knows how to do this to heal. Now, evoking. So that's every single healing I've done since I had the awakening. Every single one I've done has been 100%. 100% via guide, like 1% Sterling, 99% guide. Okay. It's just, I just let go and let it happen. Now, who is it? Who is it? There's a lot of folks that say a lot of things about who they are. Hyperdimensional beings of every sort. I personally don't know. Now, I have seen visions and I've had indications, but not enough evidence to proclaim that, this is the spirit of so-and-so coming through. But there's a lot of indications as such, and I just leave it that way. I use what's called my highest working theory. Sorry, I have a cat that gets a little excited. If it gets too annoying, let me know. Cats are great when you're an energetic person. They're great teachers, but we could talk 20 minutes on that. Okay, so back to using a guide. Who are they? Well, you don't know. And I found that I had to build trust, just like with any human. It's a relationship. And it could be, like JB mentioned earlier, he says, what did he say? Maybe when I contact my spirit guides, myself. He said it in the same sentence, because I do not know if it's a higher aspect of myself that, that I'm not aware of. But it's very sophisticated if it is. If it's at a higher aspect of myself that I'm not aware of, it's very sophisticated and knowledgeable. But if it is an actual other entity, I don't understand its nature, but it does come through, and it's benevolent, and it's you can feel that it's all loving and purely compassionate and highly knowledgeable and extremely wise. And I trust it through just through building of trust over time and just repeated, consistent. I think my cat wants out. I'm sorry I have to interrupt this a second. No, I don't. He got out. Okay. All right, back to the show. How am I doing? Okay, I just got a couple more minutes. So, but basically, I just follow instruction from it. Now, your story might be similar. You might have some other thing, but I do a full where the guide physically guides me. I don't follow any kind of structured at all. It provides all the structure, no process. I've never used any kind of crystals, any kind of apparatus. All I do is he tones, he sings notes, and goes through a process that typically involves a grounding, space cleaning, or just the cleaning of the room, space cleaning. There's some sort of a scan and connecting to the person energetically. Then there's actual physical contact. The healer rubs certain spots on the body, and that's a whispering. It's a sort of we call it whispering. That's an evoking of a guide, is when you actually can sense things that you normally can't. It's like you can't sense it, and then you turn it on, and now you can sense things. Okay, that's how it works. But anyway, I'm going to just and then there's three basically pieces that I can decorate. We could just talk about all of these in detail, but not today. But one, typically a energetic. There is a breaking up or a removal of blockage. Okay, this sort of behaviors, and there's several behaviors that break up and remove blockage. What's blockage? Well, that's a whole other story. But you're probably familiar if you're hands-on healers. And then another thing that happens is a removing, getting rid of blockage or waste or things that don't belong. And then the last thing that happens is there's a administration of a healing energy that has certain color and texture too. And there's an administration of healing, and then there's finally a protection of sorts. There's a raising of the energy of the person, and then they can go. And then how it happened, how it affects them is mysterious. What the results are mysterious. The approach is mysterious, and it just stays mysterious. And just get used to it, because all you can do is just keep trying to understand it. Just keep trying to understand it better, and that's all you can do. I don't think I'll ever figure it out. Anyway, that's my story. That's what I can talk about guides and connecting. I let them do all the work. I like to think that they are doing the healing through me. It's their gig. They want to do it, and I'm willing to help. And so I just facilitate, but they're actually doing it. So I just take all the pressure off of myself. I don't have to go find anybody. I don't have to seek. I don't have to seek it at all, because it's done for me. I just show up where they want me to go. But anyway, I guess I just want to let you know that I am available. Just if you need to talk. Sometimes we don't have people to talk to about this. I mean, I know in my personal life, there's like nobody, and I could speak openly about this. Some folks in my life, I have to be completely private about it, and some people in my life, I can kind of talk about it. But if you think if you think we could talk, or you need to talk to somebody, that just give me an email and we can talk. Just as a fellowship sort of thing. Okay, but anyway, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much, and whatever you'd like to do now, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna go ahead. I just realized I was so excited I forgot to do the guided meditation. I was looking at my schedule, I'm like, whoops. So I want to just take this moment just to kind of like process everything we just heard. If everyone could just relax for a bit, close your eyes, put yourself set your mood. Get in that space. Go to your sacred space. I want everyone to, for day one, what I talked about earlier, you're going to your sacred space. Where is it? Is it in your home? Is it by the beach, in the forest, on the cliff like mine is? Like I had mentioned earlier, I stand at the edge of this cliff overlooking the ocean, and I just receive the white light.
Is it
I
flying
want
in the
everyone to
sky? Is it floating in the ocean?
Mhm.
Are you alone? Are you surrounded by your guides, by loved ones that help you really channel this peaceful bliss for you to have, for you to be, for you to own and trust that it's you? Take a deep breath. And take a second deep breath and hold. Just listen to your heartbeat. Listen to pump the oxygen from your lungs through your veins to the tension, maybe some energy blockage in your body. Just let it flow. Let your body be a flowing energy, a flowing river, a breeze of air just blowing by. As you breathe out, just take a nice third deep breath.
Battery high.
You come back from your sacred place, back to your present, back to your body, back to this wonderful gathering. What is it that you'd like to ask Sterling, maybe a fellow healer here, for guidance or clarity to help you for your next step?
Or
Have a better connection to your guide, better connection to yourself. Now, at this time, you're all unmuted. So if you have a question, you please either raise your digital hand or physical hand. I'll be able to see you and call you out so that you may ask a question or share. Paul, I noticed you're unmuted. Did you have a question to ask or something you'd like to share? I guess. Any of our other guests?
I think I just want to share that, you know, if no one has a question, maybe we could share a little bit of our session, Sterling. You know, like I said, when Sterling showed up, I did not know that you were a mystic healer, you know, and so we asked him like our questions. We had him do an assessment. We have, you know, we have our clients fill out an assessment of where are your aches and pains? What are you experiencing? Have you been dealing with anything? And, you know, and just kind of what I do is I have an image of a body, and I'll just start, you know, putting in like any surgeries you've had, any injuries. And I kind of start seeing a pattern on the body, especially if it's like, I'll see the energetic blockages as I'm working through it. Or I'll start seeing, okay, this is just physical. I could, you know, then I deal with it in a physical way. If it's just, if I start seeing, sometimes it doesn't show up emotional until our second and third session when it's just not progressing. We're not getting the results we want with our clients. Then I know I'm like, okay, there's something else here that we need to deal with, that I need to see if they're willing to be open to it first. Because I respect our clients' boundaries. You know, it's not about me, it's about them, making sure that they feel safe, making sure that they feel ready to go on this journey. And so that's how we deal with our clients. And so that day we got together and we started doing the healing session, and I got to experience what he was saying, you know, this energy that just flows through him, and just dancing with it, and just really like it was like riding a wave. Like I would have to, when I would walk into the, you know how sometimes the waves, they come in, you know, they come in smooth or that they come in strong. And so there were some times where I had to, you know, like brace myself, and I was like, whoo, and I had to back up a bit, then come back in, and then just kind of, that's how it felt to me. I don't know if you want to share, Sterling, how it was for you.
Yeah, they have a nice little setup. If anybody's interested in going and doing that, I'd recommend it highly. But uh, uh, there's a lot of interesting. It was a very spiritual experience. It evokes spiritual experience, and I would say probably one of your techniques. They use a technique with bowls, with singing bowls, and a lot of folks love singing bowls, and there's a good reason for it. But they actually put them. I've never had that before, but they physically put them on your body at different pitched bowls and different and get them going. And to me, singing bowls and that sort of thing, they do two functions. If it's dissonant, they break up blockage, but then they also raise energy and expand. You know, they just kind of move it up to the next level and then move it up higher, and it balances. It has a very balancing effect. So it's a very nice technique. I liked it. And you're indeed a whisperer. You have a gift that not everybody has it. It's not, I mean, maybe everybody can do it, I suppose, or be taught, but you know, it requires a certain aptitudes and desire and things, you know. So, but you do have it. You're definitely a whisperer. I believe both of you are. I can't tell, you know, eyes are shut and me, but it was great. It was a wonderful experience. I'd like to share more with you privately about it, though. You know, maybe later.
No, it was the way a lot of my clients explain it. They feel like my hands are magnet. They just go exactly where there's any physical pain. And it's like, and there's sometimes they're not even aware of it. Like, oh, what was that? And
that's anecdotal evidence. It's anecdotal, but it's not scientific, but it's anecdotal. It's because when you go and you go boom and you start touching and I'm sore there, you know, and you can't know that. You just cannot know that, but you find it. So it's a phenomena that's really, really fascinating, but if you have mastery of it.
The best way I could describe it is when JB, when you work on people, what's the sensations you get?
Varies from body to body, depending. Sometimes I can feel resistance or something I may invoke, like the trigger. I'm kind of the one that, oh, there's a button. Let me push it.
Yes, he's the mischievous one.
The mischievous one. And then, of course, I get images and it's like magnetized, like, don't push this button. I just have to push it. So as I get the message, visual, sound, experiences, whether it's this lifetime or energetic past lifetimes or someone you recently connected to and you happen to buy into their energy, buy their pain because you're trying to lift it off them, and you may carry it on you, causing an energetic blockage because you just carried on their baggage. I just do my best to not filter it through my perception of what it is and just almost verbatim try to, hey, what happened here? Or did you play a sport? Or did you happen to work on something like this? Or did you experience that? And that will allow our clients to mentally, oh, I did this. And again, I remind them, you don't have to share the experience because sometimes, majority of the time, the visual I get are very traumatic in the sense of a physical trauma, mental trauma, emotional trauma. All we can do is kind of hold the energetic space of the sacred space, a space they probably forgot about. And we watch it process it on the table, whether it's crying, laughing, releasing body sounds,
burping,
farting, hiccuping, shivers, shaking. we're there, we're present, but not interjecting into your choice of letting in the flow and heal, or do you choose to hold on? We just kind of have to step away and allow you to process it somewhere else if you want.
Mhm.
There's only, we're not really healing anyone. All we, like Sterling presented it, we're invoking or evoking your guides or your body to self-heal, to allow it to flow again, to relieve that discomfort and pain. Yes, in a physical level, where we're training, we push a certain point in the muscle called the trigger point. And an energetic, emotional level, it's you. Either you're ready to process it. We recently had a client where we hit all these points, they release, they have more flexibility, they're able to breathe more, they're able to open up and feel ready to take on the day. And of course, sharing some of the messages that were invoked in certain of those points. And 2 days later, that it's back. It was temporary relief. That's something we could do for you. All we could do is bring your awareness so you to allow yourself to flow, to open up your capacity, raise your vibration, allow you to be a better version of yourself, a much more fluid or truth version of yourself.
Yeah.
We're, tying it all together where the guides come in, trusting yourself. The more you trust yourself, the clearer you hear voices, the clearer you might have visions, the clearer you might have that message to allow you to be you and to serve those around you. And like I said, we have about 5-10 more minutes.
No, we have, no, we don't have 5 to 10 more minutes.
Oh, yes, we already did I was calculating in my head the
Yeah.
meditation.
No, and then what I wanted to share is, I just wanted to have JB share a little bit of what he experiences. What I experience is very different from him. The minute I touch anybody, doesn't matter age, size, the minute I touch you, it's almost like my body becomes yours. And I just start feeling everything. I'm an empath where I feel everything. If you're nauseous, I will feel it. I will get nauseous too. If you have a headache, I'll get the headache. I'll feel it. And the minute I start feeling everything, I have to remind myself, this is not yours. This is theirs. I got the message. Now it's time for me to release it. Because if I don't release it right away, I will start getting sick to the point where I will start feeling like them. Exactly whatever they're dealing with, And so when I start working on the body, like starting to say, I just know where to go. And the reason I know where to go is because I'm feeling it. Even though you're not feeling your aches or pains, I could feel where all the aches and pains are, where they're coming from. I've had advanced training in neuromuscular therapy, which gave me a visual guide to know exactly how the muscles work, how they move, and certain movements that we do daily over, like say if you're working at your desk and you're looking at your computer screen here, I will already, the minute I touch you, I could tell that's what you do. I could visualize you sitting at your desk because most of my clients will come in complaining about, oh, my back, my low back, and my upper. And then I'll start telling them, I'm like, you use this hand the most. You're always looking, depending on the tension of the neck, you're always looking this way or that way, or why do you keep looking, make sure your screen is more neutral because they're looking down and it's really tight. So I could tell them exactly how they sit, how they look, and they're just like blown away because they're like, how do you know this? And I'm like, your body's telling me all these things. Just by touching you, feeling the aches and pains, I already know how you sit, what you do, what you repeatedly do. And then they're like, well, how can I fix it? And I tell them, there's no 100% fix because you will continue doing this job. So you will continue sitting at a desk. So it's something that you just need to become aware of. So when you're sitting at your desk, I need you to put a timer and get up every so often, roll your shoulders, do some pec stretches, open yourself again. Because when we sit in front of a computer screen, we have this tendency of closing this up. Have you ever noticed that a lot of us are unhappy in our jobs, especially if they're sitting jobs? Why we become so unhappy? And it's because we close up every time, every day. We just closing this area up. And whatever starts bombarding you that day, it almost feels like you're being punched every day. And so I don't explain it that way to my clients. I just explain to them, you need to open up. Even though this may feel vulnerable, this is a better shield than this one. Because here
all this,
you will feel the impact here.
tying all this to the
Open up,
guides,
it's more broader. Yeah. What were you saying?
tying into the guides, it's usually the message we receive.
Mm-hmm.
It's whether our own guides or the client's guides of at one level, maybe they're not open to the level of healing or spirituality we are. So we give them a more down to earth, a physical response to kind of move forward with. For those that are more open, like ourselves, we give them the message and the visuals like, hey, did you play a sport? Did you do this? Did you ever feel like something's attacking your heart? And like I said, it might be a visual or a metaphor, something that allows to open up, breathe through, process whatever technique you may use. And then again, for those who are even more open, like Sterling said, there's some that just say they're open, but they're not really. And we're able to give the message that we are whispered to us or just confirm. Because sometimes our clients say, I heard this, which was a message from their guides. And I say, yeah, that's the message we got too. So that's the confirmation you need to start the healing, start connecting. It's when you choose to really listen and apply, that's gonna make shifts to your lives.
Yeah. So like I was saying, that's another exercise I leave for everyone. Whenever you notice yourself receive that one phone call or someone just has an issue, they're angry with you, just remind yourself it's not yours. Sometimes it's theirs. And remember when you're on the phone or whatever position you're in, remind yourself to open up, make that shield broad and open, because that will remind you to breathe. That will remind you like, this is not mine. I've had phone calls like that where I want to automatically go like this, shrivel up like a little fetus and go like, why are they mad at me? But then I am like, nope, it's not mine. It's not mine. I'm not going to deal with this. And there's been times where I just automatically go to that because our human nature is to get upset or to get sad. But at the same time, I have to remind myself like, you're on a mission here. Obviously, they have something to process. Okay, let me take it on. What is it? And then I'll have my feelings, because like I tell my daughter all the time, it's okay to be mad. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to be happy. I'll ride that wave of emotion and then I'll release it. It's not mine. And it's a good practice to do, to detach. I use that word a lot. Go ahead and detach from it. It's not yours. And what's another term I use? My husband loves to push buttons. He's right. And
I
sometimes I have to remind him during our sessions, like, knock it off.
And that's where we work well together, is that I push the buttons, I get the visualization, and then I kind of sometimes pass it on to her and she does the translation to deliver what's need to be said or how to address certain aspects. So like I said, this is an open discussion aspect. We would like to hear from you that are here with us live. And what are some techniques that you do to kind of prepare yourself? Mm-hmm. And also to kind of give you a heads up for those watching the recording, I'll go back or connect with Sterling and I'll get his steps that he shared with us, how he prepares for a session, so that you have a clear outline if that resonates with you to apply your approach in the dealing with a healing session with guides.
And I think the other important thing is when you connect, like I said, at the end of any session, at the end of any situation, make sure to detach, make sure to release, to let go, make peace with it. Because if you carry it on, if you keep it with you, it forms into an energy blockage. You know, you just carry it with you all day, and your guides will find ways to make you release it. I've had that experience where I did not release something, and my guides will actually force me to lay on my bed. They'll knock me down, whether I become physically sick or I just start getting a massive headache. I rarely get headaches, so when I know I get a headache, there's a message there for me. So I will put myself on bed rest for a while and just really process what I need to process to be able to let it go. You know, because sometimes we tend to hold on to things thinking it's servicing us in a way, but it's not. And it's just a daily reminder to always release. You know, we have to think of ourselves as filters. Everything we receive that day, we need to filter it out. You know, our bodies do that. Everything we consume or eat, we filter it out. You know, we have to remind ourselves that we run in that. We run through that system, you know. And so it's just reminding ourselves to filter, to release, to detach, to let go. So then the next day you're prepared and you're ready for what comes next. Always remind yourself you come first. Your guides always remind you of that too. You come first. You know, they will not work with you if you're not capable that day. And they'll remind you of it. You know, today's not the day. I've had days like that where JB's like, oh, you know, we could schedule so and so today. And I'm like, nope, not today. Not today. I'm just not feeling it today. And he'll be like looking at me like, but nope, not today. And he looks like he gets all sad, but I'm like, no, not today. I need this day to rest. Anybody have any questions? I don't want to keep talking. Anything they want to share before we do our closing at 8:20?
I would like to share. First of all, let me just give gratitude to Sterling. Thank you for showing up, brother. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your truth, your experience. Thank you for your humbleness and what you shared as you want to share a space of worship, a space of fellowship with others. That's what you said, fellowship. And I appreciate all the work that you're doing in your space because the world needs more people to step up like you have. And I do relate to you a lot because we have that very mental energy that it's like sometimes our intellect overrides our intelligence and we need to get out of our own way. So I feel you, brother. The one thing that I wanted to share is that I love that you shared. Well, first of all, my name is Michael and Alice, and we are founders and visionaries of Samadhi Sea of Wisdom Meditation School. One thing I would like to share is you mentioned Ayurveda, and the way that I see healing is just that, is alchemy. Just like Ayurveda is alchemy, I see that, I mean, everybody's saying the same thing, but we're really just master alchemists, and we're just sharing other people how to be master alchemists of themselves. So thank you so much for opening up that reflection of your wisdom.
Thank you. Anybody else want to share anything? I just really want to take the time right now to thank Vera, Dara, James, Daniela, Blessy, just for taking the time, and Michael and Alice taking the time today to be present with us today. Um, I highly suggest you guys come daily. You know, you will learn something. There will be a takeaway every day. And I hope you guys, you know, have the opportunity to practice what you learn every day. And at the end, hopefully share there will be that aha moment or a moment of clarity where you'll be like, wow, I received this message, you know, and we're here for you. You know, I gave our information is most of you are on Meetup, but I also have a Facebook page with the Healers Roundtable where we will be putting these recordings under our units tab. So if you ever want to go back or if you ever want to get certain information, it's available there. And that's also available through Meetup. I put the pictures with the information. I'll make sure to put, you could always message me through Meetup also, and JB. We get the messages. But yeah, just for day one, I think the one exercise I want everyone to take away today is really setting that sacred space. You know, I know a lot of, I've seen a lot of healers that they have this one space in their house, an altar and all that. But what do you do when you're not home? Or what do you do when you're on the road? And so I always have to remind them that's a beautiful space that you set for yourself. But what about the times you're not home or you're on the road or you're on a vacation? You have to have a sacred space that's a visual. When you meditate or you just sit, you could go to like that, you know, and just be present there to be able to receive any messages you might need or any guidance you might need to be able to get through any situation that comes up. So like I said, mine is the picture of the slide where it's the lady in white. I always see myself in a white dress, and I always see myself at the edge of a cliff and just really taking in the rays of what looks like the sun, but it's really just an energetic ray. You know, the blessings that I receive from my guides and the messages that I receive. And just talking today, you know, at the beginning of the session, I was being bombarded like so many, I don't know whose it was, but I was getting bombarded by messages from a lot of spirits as we started, and I had to really make that space, you know, for me. But there are messages there for you guys. There's a lot, you know, like I said, there was a lot of visitors here him today. So that tells me that you all have a special message that, you know, that you need to be aware of. And, you know, maybe it was already spoken through, whatever you heard, whatever experience I shared, you will relate to it like, oh, I went through that too, or I'm going through that right now. And just know that whatever message you did get from today, that was your message for today, you know. And so just be open today. Take time today to, like I said, in our culture, it's the Day of the Dead, where we remember our loved ones that have passed on. And just take this time to connect with your loved ones, you know, remember them. I know whenever I don't get sad when my loved ones pass on, my family would find that a little odd because I always knew that they would come afterwards to visit me. So I know I would never get sad. It was just like, okay, they've moved on. Now they're going to come to me at odd times. And I remember the most the most unique one was my uncle. I had this uncle, my tío Jesus, and he was just a very happy drunk. He was always drunk and he was always cracking up jokes. And whenever he would see you, he had this big heavy hand and he would always be like, pow, pow. And I would be like, okay. And I remember when he passed on, when he finally moved on, he passed away in his home, and we got to go to the home, and I remember seeing the body there, but I don't really go to the body because I already know their spirit is not there anymore. So I don't go to the body because to me it's just our shell. I would I remember going instead sitting at near his chair. He would always sit at the dining table at the head. That was his spot. And I remember I just sat next to that chair. And I just kind of like was feeling his presence, just being aware of everyone that was there to see him or say goodbye to him. And I just sat there quietly and I took it in. And then I went home. And that night, I remember just kind of like laying in bed and just saying, well, thank you for all those moments that you would make me laugh, the jokes that you would say, I will always remember and cherish those moments. He would always, because my Spanish was horrible, and he would always make fun of me when I would say something wrong, and he would make a joke about it. And so it was the funniest sensation. As I was talking, I started getting really sleepy, and I was closing my eyes, and then all of a sudden I just fell. I'm like, really? Right when I'm about to fall asleep, you just had to do that? I'm like, woke me up. And I said, okay, I got it. You can go now. Let me sleep. But those are the moments I cherish when they come back. And it's like, they're really never gone. They're really never gone. I've gotten visit from my great grandmother, from many people that I'm not even aware of who they are in my life, but for some reason, there's someone important in my life. But it's always interesting, the messages that they bring. And I always enjoy when I get those visits. There's been some scary ones. I will admit, there's been some scary ones where I'm kind of like, who are you? Well, what are you doing in my house? But usually you could tell right away when it's not someone invited or someone that is meant to be to you. And right away I'll be like, leave my house now. You're not welcome. If you're not someone that's bringing a blessing from my higher source, or you're not someone nice, you need to leave, and I'll start praying right away. You could just tell. It's a strange, I always wonder where those come from, or what they're meant. What's their purpose? I've always been curious about that. Like, I don't really understand their purpose or what they're meant. There's a teaching. I mean, if they come, there's some kind of teaching there. And sometimes I think of it as almost like they're testing me to see how strong I am, or if I'm capable. And that's how I take it.
May I share?
I don't take it like they're coming to hurt me, or, they're trying to teach me something too, And so but it doesn't feel good. I could tell you that. I would agree with other people. It's not a nice feeling, but they're there for a reason.
Rebecca, may I share something?
Yes.
One thing, that's a subject that I love.
Mhm.
One thing is that I've had the blessing of being pronounced dead several times. So one thing I'd just like to share with your viewers is that really we're all experiencing ourselves in our hearts. So even when we think somebody dies, they've always been in our hearts.
Mhm.
And one time I was helping somebody with a cat. And no, excuse me, it was a dog, because I've helped several people. So this one was a dog the first time. And I was trying to console this little boy because I didn't know how to console him. I was like, I don't know what it feels like to lose a dog. Like, I never had pets as a kid. So the one thing that came to me is like, I know we're not going to sound weird in this space, but it's like the dog spoke through me, and it said like, I'm right here in your heart. Like I've never gone anywhere. So I asked the kid, I asked the little boy, I said, where did you feel your dog in your life? He said, in my heart. Where did you where did you sense the sensation of, the name of the dog? He said, in my heart. So I said, so where has your dog been the whole time? In my heart. I said, so did you ever lose him? Where is he right now? He's like, he just lit up. He's like, he's in my heart.
Mhm.
So even his mom told me, it was like, it transformed his life for the rest of his life. So what I'm getting at is when you were sharing about like dark spirits, we've worked with several people with dark fogs, like this dark energy. And what I've come to realize, and I'm just going to touch a little bit on the surface, is that really it's our power being confused reflected back to us. It's the source within us that we're perceiving. It's either a fear, it's something that we're working through, even subconsciously. So it's like when people have nightmares. If you analyze your nightmare, and this is going to sound weird, but the only one that I can explain from experience, I can share from experience. Excuse me, I'm shifting as I even talk about it because it's very
Yeah.
like without. So I'll explain it very simply. It's like in order to hear a radio transmit, the energy has to be dumbed down through a microphone, right? And the microphone amplifies the energy, so it is sent across the wave, right? And the receiver receives that information, lowers down. That's why it's slowing down. That's why meditating. That's why sitting still. We access this tremendous energy. It's no different. It's micro macro. So long story short, when you're able to slow yourself down, you tune into, like JB was saying earlier, and even Sterling was saying earlier, it's like when they say your higher self, it's your more conscious self. The more conscious you are of yourself, the more you tap into this, what they call higher self. So it was funny. What I would do is I would go to haunted houses. I would go to these different dark energy places because I wanted them to attack me, because I said, I'm either going to die from them attacking me, which I'm not recommending this, by the way. I'm either going to die from them attacking me, or I'm going to wake up. And that's how bad I wanted to wake up. But the one thing is, these two things that I can express from personal experiences, when I was young and in the life that I used to live, I used to look for death, like all the time, like I wanted to die. And it was like, it couldn't touch me. And then when I went to go look for these, the darkest, the most scariest places, I would even ask people thought I was crazy. I was like, hey, you guys know any haunted places, like some really scary haunted places? They're like, well, they would introduce me to people. And anyways, long story short, is I realized it's like life in general. When you want something so bad, you won't see it because it's you that you're looking for. As crazy as that sounds. So really, it's like Sterling was saying, when you surrender to yourself, you realize you've always been with yourself. And it's like that is the ultimate conscious death. Because especially honoring the Day of the Dead, it's the day of life.
Mhm.
This is who we are. It's like this is not like people that are dead. I mean, if you think about it, like let's just say me and you are friends, right, Rebecca? Even
Yes.
though we're the closest friends that we are, like we still have patterns and programs and perspectives that separate our relationship as friends, right? Even my wife, it's like we think we know each other, but we don't really truly know each other. We're barely tapping the surface. But when somebody, goes to the other side, whatever we want to call that, because there's different names to explain it or to express it, but to that side where they're no longer in this physical mechanism, this physical body, that's when we have access. It's only our own perspectives that don't allow us to connect with who they truly are, who we truly are. So I notice when people say, "Oh, my loved one is like they're dealing with guilt or whatever," it's like they're haunting me. Like I'm afraid. It's like, no, you're haunting yourself. The minute they let go of the guilt, the minute they let go of the resentment, the minute they let go of themselves, they realize, wow, they were there the whole time, and they weren't judging me. So it's like really, like I was sharing earlier, it's just about alchemy. It's like whatever we think that can harm us, it's really ourself. I'm saying don't jump in front of a car because we are in these physical bodies, but I'm saying mentally, mentally, like we are so powerful because, and this is the last thing that I want to say. I come from a background where I literally would test. I come from a Christian background, so I would test the devil. I would test demons. Like I would say, you know what? Like I don't want to live anymore. You know, why are you scared to kill me? Because I wanted to die. And the thing that I realized is I was my own demon. I was my own devil. So when I realized this, as weird as this sounds, and I hope this is not too much, but especially on the Day of the Dead, it's like the inner world is a beautiful place, and it's our fear of the unknown that doesn't allow us to connect with who we truly are. So when we can like really embrace death, we will embrace life. When we run and we fear death, that's when we run and we fear life. So this is just something I want to share, especially today for the Day of the Dead, and it's All Saints Day today too.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for showing up.
Thank
You could be
you.
doing anything else, but you're here. I honor you. I honor every single one of you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to start wrapping this up with a wonderful chakra bowl cleanse to close this wonderful section.
So for this week, I'm going to start backwards. I'm going to start with the crown chakra, and I'm going to be working each day the way down to the root chakra. So that way, when we end this course, we end up grounded. So I just want everyone to just visualize this beautiful white crown hovering above you like a halo, turning clockwise, and just with each vibration and each sound, take a deep breath and just visualize it growing bigger and vibrant. Now I want everyone to take 3 deep breaths. And while you're breathing, I want you to visualize this beautiful crown, almost still connecting to your higher source, but also coming down and building like this cocoon around you to protect you, to give you that safe boundary for today, because we have opened up your higher source. So I want you all to leave this day feeling protected, not overwhelmed if anything comes to you, any strong messages, that they come softly and nicely in a way that you could process them and still go out through your day at ease So just visualize this beautiful cocoon, this white light around you. And I want everyone to enjoy their day today, this beautiful Sunday. And I look forward to seeing everyone tomorrow at 7 a.m.
Thank you for all those on Facebook. If you'd like to join us live, just either connect with us on the Healers Roundtable, or you can get access to the link or on Meetup. Till next time.